Dave Barrett, thank you for being on my show. This has been a long time coming. This
Yes, yes. I
and
thought you were going to introduce me as the mystery guest, looking the way I do.
because of the way you look, I think it would be very necessary. Because people that don't know you, this is Dave Barrett, and we'll explain what you do at the fairs as of 15 months ago. And for those that do know you, Dave, are you part of the witness protection you want to tell people about?
Well, I don't know. I went to bed one night and I woke up and it was the 60s all over again. Look at
Yes,
this.
well, that's it's a great look, and I know you won't be keeping it, which was why I insisted that you come on the show before you. We needed this to be recorded. This look, so
History needs to know that this is what I sank to during
right. Yes.
during COVID.
Yeah, well, it's good to see you weren't doing nothing. You were busy growing hair.
Growing hair, never stopped, day after day.
It's incredible. It looks great. I love the new look. You know, I hope you do keep it for at least a couple of shows.
I can't, I cannot see showing up looking like this. I just can't.
Well, Dave, this is so good for you to be here. Everyone that knows you knows Dave sells the ratchet loppers at all the garden shows and home shows, fairs, exhibitions. We've been known to do a few street sales in our time as well, Dave.
Some of the best days we ever had. Short days, very profitable.
Yes.
And a lot of fun working on the streets.
Yes, and who would have thought 9 to 5, one day a week would be so much fun?
Well, and we've missed them all this year. Well, this year and last year.
Yeah. Dave, I want to take you back to a time long before loppers and many of the other ventures that you've done. We've known each other for well over 4 decades, but I want to take
you had to say that. You had to say that.
Well, I got to set the time, and I'm going to set the time and the stage. So the year was 1975. Most of the viewers, right, or listeners, because this will be on Spotify too, most of the viewers or listeners weren't even born in 75.
I was going to say they weren't even born in those days.
People like ourselves, we were flogging things at shows. Now, while I was always a gadget guy, and back then I was selling the little red stick for $3 each.
$3.
$3 each, 2 for $5.
Yeah.
You got 3 of them for $6.
Value for money.
Yeah, really. But Dave, I'm going to set the stage and then I want you to take it from there.
Yeah.
The year is 1975. You're at let's just pick a fair. Let's pick the Saskatoon Fair, or it could be the Regina Fair. You're at a fair. And
Calgary Stampede many years.
Okay, let's say Calgary Stampede. And let's just pick a couple, Betty and Barney Hill, little local townspeople from, they're walking around the corner. Betty in her hand, she's got a Miracle Chef Deluxe slicer. Barney in his hands, he's got maybe a bag of beer nuts and maybe a bee-mop. And you are there, and you're not pitching any $3 sticks of Annie Glare or $10 mops. You are pitching Encyclopedia Britannica. Now, I'm sure people have heard about this.
Heard of Encyclopedia Britannica.
Heard about Encyclopedia, but it may just as well be the 5 books of Moses that they're listening to. What, Dave?
And it was just as valuable.
Just as valuable. You were selling encyclopedias. How much was this set selling for?
Well, I'll tell you that in just a moment, but you did miss out one major feature that Bill and Betty had with them.
What's that?
2 little toddlers.
Thank you for setting the stage better. 2 little toddlers, yes.
Yeah, 2 little kiddies.
Yeah, okay. So
who were your entree.
So take it from there. How do you sell? How much were they selling for?
In those days, they did. Before the very end, I got out of the business before the very end, but before the very end, they were selling for up to $1,000 and $1,200 for a set. When I was pitching them, we were looking at about $599, $699, $700 a set.
Wow.
And I think I once, I mean, as you know, inflation increases the value of everything. And I often wondered just, what would that be in today's money? And God, apparently like the $1975 to today's dollar is something like an 8 times factor. I mean, a dollar then is worth about $8 today.
Yes.
So we were looking for about $4,000.
Dave, it's a fair.
Yes.
How do you get that kind of money out of Betty and Barney Hill with 2 little toddlers, especially when they're screaming that they want to go out on the rides? Tell me how did you do it? How did you stop them? Take me through the whole process. What did you say to them? How did you stop them and take it from there?
Hey, this is 45 years since I've pitched this. Give me a break.
Okay, well, to the best of your knowledge.
It was basically everything was aimed at the kiddies. That's what it's all about. What a lovely couple of kids you've got there. May I ask you that, Betty? Betty, lovely looking kiddies, aren't they? Well, there's no mother on earth that doesn't think her kiddies are the best things that ever happened. And of course, she agrees. And that's the whole point. They got to agree all the time. They agree. And eventually, and I mean, they see you're in an encyclopedia booth, and eventually you get around saying, have you ever thought of owning a library in your own home? It's never a set of books. Have you ever considered having a library in your own home? Oh, that would be something special, but they're so expensive. Well, I admit, Mrs. Jones, they're not cheap, but they are worth every penny. And then you simply go from there, and you'd ask them, what do you think they would cost? I mean, it doesn't matter what they say, because whatever they say, you say, yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then you simply go from there. And, I mean, there was a pitch. There was a complete pitch that went through.
I want to hear it. I mean, this is the pitch of all pitches. Like,
it's the pitch of all pitches.
In order to, I mean, you obviously.
Okay, first thing you would do, Larry, is you would establish, do you value education? Do you think education is an important thing for your family? Well, who's going to say no?
Sure.
Of course, education is the most important thing for your children in their homes. And having a library in the homes gives your children the advantage over all the other children that don't have that library.
Yes, oh, strong. That's strong. Yes.
Having the library at home. On a Sunday evening when Jimmy and Wendy are doing their homework and they come to you and say, Daddy, Mommy, what happened to the Peloponnesian War in 500 BC? No Google. No Google. And so you'd establish that having the library in the home gives them the advantage and the benefits that aren't enjoyed by other children, and gives their children the advantage, the leg up for the future.
Yes. Strong.
And then you'd flip through. We used to have what was called a prospectus, which was a mocked up book that looked like one of the books of the encyclopedia, and you'd flip through it, because in there'd be little bits and pieces from the whole set, and It was all colored pictures and beautiful stuff for the kiddies. And that's one of the things you used to do. You always had some kiddies books in the booth, and you'd say, would you like to look at this, Mary, John, whatever? And Mary and John, little kiddies, you'd sit them on the rug in the booth, give them a book each, and say, you take a look at that while I talk to your mom and dad. And there they were looking at the books,
It's fantastic.
And throughout the pitch, you'd sort of look at the mom and dad and say, yeah, look.
Yes.
They love it. They're engrossed. They can't put it down.
Get up. Yes.
And then eventually you would get, to the point was, how much does it cost? Whatever. And always at the end of the pitch, when it comes to the close and the end of the pitch, there was always 2 objections. I mean, you knew they were coming. It was just automatic. Yeah. 2 objections. Number 1, the kids won't use it. They've got stuff at home, and they begged me to buy it for them. I bought it for them. They never use it. And I go, take a look. They'd never use it. Or the other one was, I'm sure they're way too expensive. I can't afford it. So it was always, they won't use it or I can't afford it. And so it didn't matter what they said. The response was the same. Which was, they won't use it. They won't use it, Bill. Take a look at those children. They can't get they can't take their hands off the books. When it comes to Sunday night and they want to do their homework and they're begging you for help, you want to have some time off to watch the hockey game and you're saying they won't use it? My God, Bill, tell me you can't afford it. And I might believe you, but don't tell me they wouldn't use it. Wow. And then the other side of the coin was, you can't afford it. You can't afford it. Bill, tell me they wouldn't use it, and I might believe you, but don't tell me you can't afford it. And then it would literally, I mean, when I think about it in today's world, we used to get away with murder. I mean, I would do things as a kid, not knowing what I was doing, that I would never do today. No. But one of the favorite things everybody used to use the same sort of little gambits. And you say, Bill, how much money have you got in your pocket? How much money you got in your, let me see what change. Show me the change that's in your pocket.
Yes.
And you'd make them put his hand in his pocket and he'd bring out this handful of change. And, you'd look at it. Well, in those days, there were no toonies and loonies. Everything was quarters and dimes and nickels. And the guy would have like a handful of quarters and dimes and maybe a couple of bucks.
Yeah.
And I would take 2 quarters, or sometimes to make it even more ridiculous, you take a quarter and a dime and another dime and a nickel, and you say, here, John, there's 50 cents I've taken out of your handful of coins. If I kept this from you, would that affect your life in any way? Would that change your life? Well, no, you wouldn't miss it. Of course, that 50 cents, John, is $15 a month. $15 a month gives your children the advantages that no other children have. Don't tell me don't tell me you can't afford it. Of course you can. Let's put your name down. How do I spell your last name?
Yes. Wow. That's very strong.
Yeah, but it's a bit outrageous, and you wouldn't do it in today's world, but well, maybe you would.
Yeah, maybe you would. But listen, I think on encyclopedias, I mean, God, back then, that's exactly it. I mean, that's why I love the word library. If I needed that kind of, we couldn't afford a set of, we couldn't afford a set of encyclopedias.
I could convince you.
You didn't get my mom and dad in front of you. But I mean, I would have to go to the library, which I did, at school, or the bookmobile, and you take out what you need for the week. But yeah, that's where, so the advantage your child would have is brilliant. I love that.
It's all about giving your children the advantages over other children.
Yes.
And let's face it, Mr. Smith, education is everything in this world.
That's fantastic.
Don't tell me you're saying no to education, please.
That's great. So you started that 1975.
Well, a couple of years earlier than that, early 70s, yeah.
Early 70s. Now, if I were to mention, the nice thing about the friendship you and I have that goes way back is there's a handful of people left that we can pull up a name from 40 years ago, and the other guy goes, yeah. It's like we've done it so many times with Judith Dubé from Salon de la Femme, and what was Dennis Hooper, was it?
I knew you were going to bring that one up.
Let's talk about Dennis just for a moment. Because you had the point of this, where I'm going with this, you don't have to tell any other stories. I don't think he's around anymore anyways.
I was going to say, he is no longer on the earth, so I'm not subject to libel laws or
No, you're not. But you know what? In respect for the living family, I just want to know, it was like car sales. You were the salesman, but you had a closer. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
It was always the same thing. You would do the pitch, and then you would bring in the manager, whoever happened to be around.
So did you take turns being the manager?
Pardon me? Or
did the salesman take turns being the manager, or was there a manager?
Well, yeah, there was a manager. Mostly it was a guy called Frank Capuano.
That's Frank,
A good Italian name, if
Frank
ever there was.
Capolano. Yes. Now, was he there,
Oh,
or was he actually there to close, or was he in the bar?
yeah. Well, a bit of both. In fact, he used to close much better after he came back from the bar. But that was the deal. You'd lay out the pitch, and then you'd bring the manager in at the end to do something special to make it a much better deal. And it would be a special favor to me because, well, Frank and I go back a long way. And Frank would throw a set of books at you. And because there was the basic encyclopedia, and then there was about 8 or 9 different sets of books. One of the big ones was pop science, popular science.
Yes.
And we all know, Mrs. Smith, science is the coming thing. You know, I remember The Graduate when they said plastics, it's plastics that are coming, you know. Well, in those days, science was the coming thing.
Right.
So we had this set of books called Popular Science. It was a 10 volume set of books, very impressive. See, we used to sell books by the pound. I mean, this damn thing, it would be 8 or 10 feet of volumes.
So you just
weigh 50 pounds.
Yeah. Yes.
And you'd give that to the kids sometimes because the kids love the pop science, and they'd be looking at it and looking at it and looking at it. And then you'd say something like, "Oh, they seem to be really enjoying that popular science set. That's an extra $250, of course, but we don't have to talk about that right now."
Right.
You'd establish that you'd establish that it was expensive and that the kids loved it,
Right.
but we're not talking about that right now.
Yes. Give its perceived
Towards
value.
the end,
Put it aside.
towards the end, it would be, Frank, I have Mr. and Mrs. Smith here, and they seem genuinely interested in having the library at home. They're a little concerned about the cost, and I just wondered, is there something we could do to perhaps, sweeten the deal a little bit? And then Frank would come in, and he was smooth beyond smoothness.
Yes.
He was brilliant. Everybody loved Frank, unless you owed him money.
Yes.
But which we all did all the time. Yeah,
that's right. But it's like, and these techniques, because that's what they are to close people. I just want everyone to realize they had to be done, because if they weren't done, to this day, nobody would buy anything.
Yeah, exactly.
The moment people walk into a fair, and whether it's a $20 cheese grater, whether it's a $10 mop, the customer will tell you why they don't want it. They've got enough mops at home. They don't need it. They don't clean. They've got a maid. They didn't bring a wallet with them. Every customer that walks into a show will tell you why they do not want to buy something. So without techniques, nobody would be buying anything. Is that not right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never ever, in many, well, actually with the loppers recently, it has changed a little bit. Once in a while, somebody shocks the hell out of you and literally walks up to the booth and says, "I've seen these before. I want one of those." You go, "Oh, God."
Well, I've been looking for you. And you go, "Why?"
Who are you? Who are you with?
You're not the tax man, are you? That was, who was that? Well, may he rest in peace. The jam guy, Irving. Remember Irving? Irving.
Yeah.
When I first met Irving, the jam guy, he was sitting there with Sarni, I believe, and I had a booth next to him, and he had the newspaper, and he was just reading the paper, and I said to him, and I'm looking at his jams and stuff, and I said, do you own this? And he started shaking the newspaper and going, "You're not from the tax department, are you?" And I just started laughing, and I went, "Okay, I like this guy."
Yeah, you always get a little nervous when somebody comes up to the booth and goes, "There you are."
There you are. Yes. Well, I think what always frightened all of us back in the day was clipboards. Anybody with a clipboard and glasses, there was either health board or tax department or auditor, revenue.
Yeah.
But well, that's you go ahead.
If I can just sort of interject, because I just had a flash memory there. In the book business, we thought we were pretty good. We thought we were pretty hot, and we could sell. But I always used to take my hat off. I would always acknowledge the superiority of another group of people. And they were from the deep South. They were the Southern Bible Boys.
I know where you're going with.
Did you ever see the Bible Boys?
Oh my God, the Bible in drama.
The Bible on tape, the dramatic representation of the Bible in your home. And man, Larry, we were going for like $500, $600, $700.
Yes.
They were going for $1,000 and $1,500 for
Yeah.
like a box full of tapes.
The three brothers, they owned a $50,000 motorhome, and that was back then.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They would travel the circuit. They'd set up, and their booth setup was something, all red velvet and white and gold. I mean, it looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I always used to say, I said, you know what? I see somebody come off your booth with a package under the arm. I give up. I don't even try. First of all, they got no money left.
That's right. Oh my God.
I used to say to them, honest to God, we don't stand a chance. I'm merely selling education. You're selling salvation.
That's right. And you can imagine how I felt between the two of you. I'm selling a $3 stick of anti-glare cleaning eyeglasses for free. That's
so you can read my books.
That's right. Like, talk about the the pecking order. Anyway, that's both those things. The Bible and drama, I remember, but encyclopedia. Let me pick up another name because was Kevin Darnell, was he not involved as well?
Kevin Darnell, God rest his soul.
Yes.
One of the strangest men I ever met in my life, but a great friend, very loyal, would do anything for you.
Yes.
But one of the craziest bastards I ever knew.
Oh, did he? Well, he came from the circus, and was he not a diver? He would dive off the high board into.
That's right. He was the circus high dive act into 6 inches of water. We used to say to him, God, you did one dive too many.
That's funny. I remember, because he was an odd duck. But again, nicest guy in the world. But I remember once he was working for me, and he was driving my truck and 16-foot trailer out to Halifax. And this was, and I said to him, here's a credit card for gas. And he looked at this credit card like it was from, he's never seen one before. Yeah. Well, because they were relatively new. And anyway, he said to me, he goes, I've never gassed up with a card. So I said, well, I'll tell you what, you drive the truck and trailer over to the corner gas station. I will follow you over with the car. We'll go through it once, and then you'll be on your way. And he said, okay, that would be great. So we get over there, and I hand him the card. And I said, go ahead, see if you can figure it out. Well, he looks at it, and I finally have to show him where to insert the card. So he inserts the card, and he looks at me. I said, don't look at me. Pretend I'm not here. You are on your own. Well, he's answering the questions. Well, keep in mind, it's a club wagon, so it's a big, long vehicle with a 16.5-foot trailer attached to it. And it gets to the question, car wash, yes or no? And he's looking at the yes and the no, the Y and the N. Yeah. And there's a pause. And I said to him, this is very important, Kevin, that you get this question right, because if you get it wrong, you're not driving my truck out west.
There's only one right answer here.
That's right. So, yeah, God bless us. I know. What about Don McKinley? Was he a book salesman, or I know he pot and pan?
Yeah, he was never anybody that was really in my group, to be 100% honest with you.
Was Collier's out then too?
Absolutely.
Okay.
There were three major sets of books. There was the Encyclopedia Britannica, there was Collier's, and then there was one called New Book of Knowledge.
Oh my God.
And that was there were three great sets. I mean, I was in the book business. I mean, the thing about the book business is like, you can swap out Encyclopedia Britannica for New Book of Knowledge and say everything else the same.
Yes.
I mean, that's all there is to it. So over the years, people would flip backwards and forwards from company to company,
Sure.
depending on who the manager was and how good of a deal he would offer you to come and work for him. So over the years, we also, I mean, I sold Collier's, I sold NBK, New Book of Knowledge,
Yes.
and Britannica, and we would switch backwards and forwards depending on who had a good show going and who offered you the better deal.
And I don't even have to ask why that company went by the wayside. The fact that you could get all three different companies now on a thumb drive is
exactly. The book business died overnight.
It's yes, yeah. What a disruptor! And I'm sure the same thing happened. Even if the Bible boys passed it down to their children, the same thing happened to them as well. You know.
Yeah, no question.
Dave, I got to thank you for taking the time today to do this.
It was a lot of fun. A trip down memory lane. I haven't been down the book business for many a year.
No, well, thank you for sharing those stories, and we will certainly talk again.
Absolutely, my friend.
Okay, take care, Dave. Thanks.
Bye.